Good evening and welcome to the PI show. My name's Harry Nowicki and I'm here with Martin Smith.
Evening.
And we've got a special guest tonight, which is Bruce Crossett. He's Senior Manager, Benefit Delivery, TAC. And Bruce is a very unusual person. He is the longest serving TAC person in Victoria. I think I've got that right, Bruce. Is that right?
Well, perhaps not quite that, Harry, but I've been with the TAC since its inception back in 1987. So one of the longest serving, but there's a number of us that are still employed. And
still there.
Yes.
So it's an extraordinary number of years you've been there, and you must have seen some dramatic changes.
Absolutely.
What's been sort of the significant changes in TAC over the years?
I think TAC's always had a focus on delivering the right service benefits to clients, and at the same time the responsibility to the Victorian community to make sure the scheme is viable for all Victorians, and we've achieved that over the last 20 plus years, and we'd like to think that we can continue that over the next 20 or more years to make sure the scheme is here for all Victorians and that it provides the appropriate services for everyone if they are in fact injured.
It's a very unusual scheme. I think we were talking about how unusual it is because it provides some benefits to people who might be at fault in accidents, which is not the case, I think, in the rest of Australia at large.
Yeah, we discussed that last time we had TAC as a topic. The interesting part about this scheme, I call it a hybrid scheme. There are no fault benefits, Harry, and they're also
the no fault benefits is someone who is driving a car or a motorcycle, runs off the road, and it's a single vehicle accident, if you like.
Yes. And
there can be very significant injuries arising from that.
Yes.
But even if it's their fault, they still have significant benefits under the TAC legislation, which is just unusual.
Yes, as you described before, a transport accident is, we've had this discussion, an incident directly caused by the driving of a motor car, motorcycle obviously, motor vehicle, railway, train or tram, and I think last time we discussed it we also talked about push bikes and a push bike on its way to work. Now the interesting part about that is once you've found yourself involved in a transport accident, you may be entitled to compensation. This is where the interesting section about what happens if it's interstate. A person who is injured in a transport accident, excuse me, if the accident occurred in Victoria, or alternatively, this is B, the accident occurred in another state or territory, it involved a registered motor vehicle. At the time of the accident, the person was a resident of Victoria, or the driver or passenger in a registered motor vehicle. What that means, Harry, is if you're in Victoria or interstate and you're in a Victorian motor vehicle, you're covered for your no-fault benefits. However, taking that example further, if you are in interstate and you are not in a Victorian registered motor vehicle, just use an example, it might be Queensland, and you run off the road and run into a tree or a fence. In that jurisdiction, it's a fault jurisdiction. They don't have a no-fault jurisdiction, and you therefore become a Centrelink recipient. You go on to Medicare, go to a public hospital, you're picked up by the Commonwealth Rehabilitation Service, but you don't get all the TAC benefits.
No, but it's so just getting back to benefits, and I think you raised just the interesting area, which is the viability of the scheme. In Victoria, you know, TAC is a monopoly, so right. There's no one else who delivers benefits or insures people for personal injuries. I think Mr. Kennett looked at breaking up the monopoly at one stage.
That's
so
right.
there was some proposal by the Liberal Party in Victoria to, in effect, break up the TAC. But I know that TAC is concerned about the viability of the scheme and delivering benefits to Victoria. How do you balance up, you know, common law, no-fault benefits and delivering benefits to Victorians?
Yeah, I think really the focus is on making sure we're providing the right level of service to our clients, and also at the same time keeping the scheme viable, so ensuring what benefits we are paying are appropriate. So in every decision that we make in managing claims, it's always a balance between providing the right level of services and what's appropriate in that particular case, and that's often based on getting the right medical information and confirming that injuries are related to the accident and that services are appropriate. And And when it comes to common law, similar in that we're always confirming the case based on the relevant medical information, and often the lawyer representing the client can play a key role in providing that information, and the earlier we do that, then we can resolve the claim for damages as well.
Bruce, one of the innovations you've come up with recently, and this is a 2009 edition, this is out this year, what the TAC can do for you. You are now informing the people of their entitlements and what they can do. Can you explain how that came about?
So basically this was an idea that came from our staff actually to communicate with our clients in a different way rather than just via the phone or through our brochures that traditionally we've had. And so now most of our clients will receive this DVD when their claim is accepted, and it'll set out, explain to them what benefits that are available, and there's also how they go about making claims for those benefits through the TAC.
And now we're going to watch some excerpts from the DVD, which has been specially produced by the TAC, which is sent out to all their claimants, and I think it's a very helpful DVD.
Hi, I'm Shane. I stacked my car a couple of months ago, made a mess of my teeth and fractured my collarbone, and I've been back and forth from the docks and the dentist getting fixed up. I put in a claim to the TAC, the Transport Accident Commission. When I was approved, I sent in all my receipts with a form plus a couple of bills I hadn't paid yet. They did the rest.
I ran into a tram riding my bike to uni, and the TAC paid my hospital bill. I'm a student, so I have to be careful with my money. Before I start any new treatment, I always check with the TAC, and that way I can be sure they'll pay for it.
My daughter, my 10-year-old, was hit by a car reversing out of a concealed driveway, and she's still in the hospital. And the TAC are refunding my travel costs to visit her, and they're covering her hospital bills.
Some idiot slammed on the brakes for no good reason. Next thing I know, I'm in hospital. Di here was in the passenger seat. She strained the muscles in her back and her neck, so she's been off her feet for a while too.
The TAC paid the hospital and ambulance for both of us. They did that direct, and I could hardly move for the first few weeks, but fortunately they gave us the go-ahead to get someone to help in the house, and we had to keep the receipts for that. But then they refunded the money into our bank account.
Paperwork, bad as work.
Oh. And after the first 5 days that Brian was off work, they started paying his salary.
Not all of it.
80%. Anyway, the sooner you get back to work, the better.